our world will sink to the ocean. The first thing I thought about was not the Red Line or Skypiea or even Enel and the moon and the six moons and all that jazz. I didn't think about Fishman Island and the Noah and of course the Promise. I didn't think of Wano and opening its borders, or Zunisha and the crime committed 800 years ago, or even Elbaf and the lore of course, the sun god Nika of Elbaf, or of course, the final destination of Laugh-Tale and Joy Boy's treasure. I didn't think about Vegapunk or Imusama and the Empty Throne and all that, or the Monkey D Dragon and the Revolutionary Army, or the Lunarian race revealed with King, now the Seraphim being involved. I thought of one man who surpassed the likes of Roger, the Pirate King, who surpassed the likes of Rocks, the man able to lead Kaido, Big Mom, and Whitebeard, who Luffy is becoming. Luffy is becoming this one man with the Drums of Liberation, and how 800 years apart still is the center focus of the One Piece story. Which makes sense as he is the rightful owner of the One Piece treasure and his Laugh-Tale. Right now, for me, no laughing matter is Laugh-Tale. So let's just dive in on Joy Boy. Now, when we first actually get a name drop of Joy Boy, it's Nika Robin, of course. Her being able to read poneglyphs makes a lot of sense. Robin reads a poneglyph from, of course, back in the Void Century, and said it's different from the ones he's read before in the Grand Line. Not like the ones she read in the future when it comes to royal poneglyphs. It is an apology from Joy Boy, which makes sense since Joy Boy had to lose in some sense for the world to, of course, the world government to do what they did after the Void Century. Then, of course, King Neptune explains Joy Boy apologizing to Fishman Island and the Mermaid Princess of the Blank Century, and how the great ship Noah is a big piece of fulfilling the promise. And it makes sense now that Luffy, Shirahoshi were involved with the Noah during the end of Fishman Island arc. That is the most logical answer, because Luffy is Joy Boy and Shirahoshi is the ancient one from Poseidon. Of course, during the Oden flashback, Oden says, of course, when he's reading the poneglyphs, just like Robin, says the same thing. One's an apology and not that important. Of course, the other one was the royal poneglyph, so that was super important, which has now been moved and we don't know where it is. And then, of course, it's funny because King Neptune mentions again Joy Boy, and of course the irony of how when they reach the final island, they would have never said that poneglyph wasn't important. And we see with Roger saying, "Oh Joy Boy, I wish I was born in your time." And this is quite the treasure you left behind, a tale full of laughs, and name the island Laugh-Tale that we know today. This is quite cool because Roger just barely got his wish of being born in Joy Boy's time, if you think about it, because if he survived just a little bit longer, like the likes of Whitebeard, like the likes of, not even Whitebeard, if you go deeper, like the likes of Garp, and like the likes of Sengoku from his days, he probably would have lived during the era of Joy Boy, because that's when Luffy unlocked his love for the ability to become the Warrior Liberation and become Joy Boy. Of course, during the time on Fishman Island, the Sea Kings were saying it is now, the birthing is at hand. I'm assuming it's Shiroshi's older brothers when they're talking, because they also say in another distant sea, the whales are delighted, the two sovereigns shall meet again. Obviously, that's Joy Boy, aka Luffy. And then they said they've been waiting almost 1,000 years for this to happen. So the Sea Kings have been waiting a very, very long time for this. And then Roger confirms and says pretty much that the Sea Kings are right. Someone will be born and surpass us. So definitely not Teach or Shanks, because they were already born at the time of Roger. It has to be Monkey D Luffy. After especially seeing the worst generation, Luffy is the man who's going to become the king of pirates and also surpass Gold D Roger. Then, of course, when Oden was getting back to Wano, he says, "We must open the port for the day Joy Boy comes." Of course, Oden also knows the tale of Joy Boy. But Luffy already left. If you think about it, during the Wano arc, Luffy defeated Kaido and left. It's like Luffy will be spinning the block on the island of Wano and the island of Fishman Island. But why is he doing it? Well, this video will touch upon that a little bit. Oden also says a figure will appear after 800 years span, and Wano has to be prepared to welcome and work with them, especially learning, of course, the ancient weapon Pluton is in Wano at the end of the arc. It makes a lot of sense what Oden was speaking. Oden even tells his wife Toki that, of course, he knows about the Void Century, and he knows his wife is from the Void Century. Tells her to go 20 years into the future, and that's when Joy Boy returns. And it looked like she left the Void Century when Joy Boy was defeated, so for him to say that to his wife, it's kind of like Joy Boy is the one who's gonna pretty much help her reach her goal. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I have another video about Kozuki, Oden, and Joy Boy. It's a controversial one, but I want to talk about it. And it makes me think of even during the Wano Onigashima raid, not even the Wano arc, actually making more detail specific, the Onigashima raid, when Kaido says it seems like you couldn't be Joy Boy either. Making me think of the legends of Roxy Zebek, Monkey D Garp, Gold D Roger, or even Whitebeard telling T it's not you. Kaido was super self-aware, and that kind of scared me, like that he himself is not Joy Boy. Because if you saw in his younger days, he thought he was Joy Boy, and now when he's fighting Luffy in his older days, he's like, you couldn't be Joy Boy either. It's like that really self-awareness of Kaido really spooked me a little bit. Of course, later on we see King talking about it and says it doesn't matter if you're Joy Boy, just become the king of pirates and I won't lose. It's funny because Zoro is the true vice captain of Joy Boy, and we saw the parallels of Zoro telling Luffy that he won't lose if he becomes king of the pirates. So it's crazy because Zoro it's the legends of the Lunarians and King. It's like he should be the vice captain of Joy Boy, but Zoro is the true vice captain of Joy Boy, and he did it naturally. It wasn't like he was seeking it, like how King was seeking it. I can even talk about Big Mom begging for Joy Boy's treasure. What is it? Where is it? Is some of it in this island, Wano? And stating she's not gonna die. So it just makes you think she'll be a big part of the final war in Elbaf. Not the final war in general, but the final war in Elbaf, in which, of course, Elbaf, we're gonna get a lot of Joy Boy lore because they literally worship Joy Boy. Then, of course, we found out about Zunisha being a companion of Joy Boy through Momonosuke, who committed a crime during the Void Century. And the world government definitely is involved for sure and know about it. They're the ones who, of course, probably dictated the crime. And that's why he's being punished, of course. And that was crazy. Then, of course, Zunisha, right before Luffy activates his Awakens his Gear 5th, hearing the drums of liberation for the first time since the Void Century, like, he was just hyped, yo. Like, he was awake. He was alive, if you want to say. And that, to me, shows greatly how important the Void Century is. Even Yamato says in the beginning of Luffy's transformation, asking, is Luffy Joy Boy? Is that what Zunisha is saying? Yamato, of course, has read Oden's journal and knows how important Joy Boy is in the grand scheme of things. Even the Gorosei talk about it when Luffy's activating his Gear 5th Nika form. The Gorosei say angering Kaido and losing a top CP0 agent just to avoid Joy Boy's return, and how 800 years they've been trying to get this mythical Zoan Sungai Nika Delphi ability, the Warrior of Liberation, bringing smiles to the people's faces, the most ridiculous power in the world. Like, that's how much they fear Joy Boy. He must have been a menace during the Void Century. And Kaido even mentions Yamato mentioning Joy Boy to King, and King says Oden did want to open Wano to welcome Joy Boy, and Kaido says, I know who it is. This, I think, is the moment where he knew that he wasn't Joy Boy. Then, of course, Kaido says, Joy Boy is the man who will beat me. In which King says, then he'll never show up if that's the case. And, of course, as we saw, Luffy did beat Kaido, and Luffy is Joy Boy. Now, the recent developments of Egghead Island, we've seen the Iron Giant awaken, and Bonnie sees Joy Boy Nika for the first time, and realizes it's Kuma been watching over Joy Boy when it comes to Luffy, and how pretty much how significant it is and how poetic it is in general. Or even Dory and Brogy, who just destroyed Eustace Kid's ship for Shanks, and how they pretty much are working for Shanks, Elbaf is a red hair pirates island, are now here for Straw Hat or Sungai Nika, and Elbaf ties to Joy Boy confirmed, like we knew during the Big Mom flashback. These next arcs won't slow down, and it kind of makes me think Big Mom and Joy Boy have to fight. Like, Luffy and Gear 5th has to fight Big Mom. I know people think Big Mom got lost in Wano, but if you think about it, the way she lost, she's still powerful. Like, Kid and the combo attack couldn't even take her down fully. They need help from the explosions and her falling from a great distance to actually defeat her. And Dory and Brogy confirmed Luffy looking exactly like the Elbaf Sun God, of course, we talked about earlier. And this next arc will reveal so much Joy Boy lore. It's gonna be like crack cocaine, yo. It's gonna be crazy, the high we're gonna get from this lore. And everything makes sense with the huge straw hat. We saw when Imu was, of course, holding Luffy's poster, and the small straw hat that we know that Roger passed down to, of course, Shanks, and then passed down to Luffy. It's just different versions of Gear 5th, if you think about it. It's different versions of the Nika Delphi ability, if I'm being completely honest, because when you've seen Luffy transforms to a giant, it goes back to normal size. Joy Boy is a giant, like Luffy's a giant, but also is a regular human. And then of course we saw the Iron Giant after being activated because of Luffy's Gear 5th. He says, "Forgive me, Joy Boy." And of course, we know he attacked Mary Joas 200 years ago, which confirms a new theory of mine. Well, not really confirms it, but I have suspicions of a new theory that Luffy is not the only Joy Boy throughout the 800 years span. There could have been other Joy Boys who have gotten a hold of the Gomu Gomu no Mi or the Nika Mythical Zone Delver ability that just didn't pan out the way it should have been. Because of course, the time is now. Luffy is the true Joy Boy, but I think there's other Joy Boys. So that's the only way I could see the Iron Giant being activated. And we even get a little glimpse of this during the flashback on God Valley. The Buccaneer race passed down through generations. Of course, Nika bringing out people to sea under the sun. There's a common theme of Joy Boy going to every race and taking them to the sea. And it makes you think of the Noah and how the story's tied to that. And then we even see Saturn shitting on the Buccaneer raisins. Kuma says, "I want to save people like Nika." And Saturn says, this is why you have to be erased. As Rox and Roger clash, 2 Willa D connected to Joy Boy himself in the Void Century. The reason why I made this video is because One Piece and Joy Boy, like One Piece, the treasure, like, and Joy Boy are always going to be connected because One Piece belongs to Joy Boy. And it's, let's be honest, it's all I ever crave nowadays. Like, even more so than Roxy Zebek lore. It seems like the origin to why this series was even made, the One Piece treasure, I didn't care about it for so long. Now, that's all I've been thinking about. I want to see Laugh-Tale. I want to see the One Piece treasure. I want to know about Will D and Void Century. And Luffy inherits the man of the Void Century. As Vegapunk just revealed, the world will sink. And how does this relate to the Ancient Kingdom? And only time will tell. And all I know is Imu and the Gorosei, to be this active at the end of this arc of Egghead Island, are very scared of Joy Boy. And even more so than they were of Big Mom and Kaido teaming up, which I was myself scared of. Like, 2 Yonkos teaming up was so shocking to me. And now I'm seeing that the actual characters, the top of the top in the world government, are scared more so of just one man in Joy Boy. What did they experience in the Void Century? Joy Boy is definitely still going to drop some jaws when we see what he's actually capable of. Luffy is he's just touching, of course. This is just the brink of what Gear 5th is capable of, and I can't wait to see more.